Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining the Application Packaging Experts Roundtable for November. Just some housekeeping. So everyone's going to be muted for the entire session, but if you have questions, please go over to the Q&A chat area and post any questions as they come through. And we're happy to address those towards the end of the session. And anything that we don't get, we'll post that in our community following this event. And we will provide you with a link to a video recording of this session once that's available. Give it a couple days after today. Okay. Well, welcome. So today's speakers, we've got Venkat. He's our product manager for AdminStudio and our software vulnerability solutions. And I'm Mike O'Connor. I'm a solution engineer here at Flexera covering AdminStudio application packaging deployment. So today's agenda, I'm going to talk about the package feed module that's part of AdminStudio and talk about what challenges we're looking to solve for customers, show you a little bit of it in action. And then we have a preview of a upcoming release of AdminStudio and what we're looking to add there. So Venkat, I'll give it to you.
All right. Thanks, Mike. And thanks a lot for everyone who's joined today. And we'll get started with introduction to package feed module. And every solution should start off with a problem. And we're going to start with what typically a packager's problem is. When trying to discover an application and then start introducing the application into an enterprise. The first one being a very time-consuming research. So some of those applications are easier to find. If you talk about Firefox and Chrome, these are easier to find. However, if you get requests of applications that are not very popular, you would spend a lot of time trying to do a lot of research on finding the installer, figure out what the silent install command line switches are. And not all of these switches are properly documented. You have to go to the documentation, and then, figure out, what is the right install switch for this. And not all packages have the same kind of switches. Obviously, customers have a variety of application types, which could be EXEs, MSIs, or script-based installers, or could be anything else. And the command line switches often obviously vary from the technology to technology based on what technology is used to build these packages. And the next one is how do you keep up with more frequent updates? Every at a given frequency, applications will see some updates, and lack of an alert mechanism, lack of a way to understand what new versions have been released. It will be tedious for packages to understand and stay on top of the updates. And we also want to emphasize the problem with manual workflows, because when you don't have a centralized repository of packages, you often run into issues with a decentralized QA process of packages, testing the configurations, testing the silent command line switches, and then trying to do guesswork on which one would actually work for an upgrade scenario, which one would work for a patch scenario, and all of that. So these are some of the problems we think that package feed module tries to solve. And right out of the box, if you look at in the first item here, which is the package feed module, gives you a curated silent switches out of the box. So these are really pre-validated install command line parameters that are tested on at Flexera side, ensuring that the installation doesn't break and the command line parameters are really accurate. And it reduces a lot of guesswork that packages have to do when it comes to publishing them to endpoint management systems, which really just use the silent command line switches. And also at the same time, if you go to the second one to the left, which is detection of the installation criteria as well, right? Every package, obviously, when it is published to configuration manager or Intune, would actually require a detection criteria to ensure that the deployment is successful. So not just the intelligence on providing silent command line switches, package feed module also provides intelligence around detection criteria of applications, when they will be published to endpoint management systems. So all of this data is actually curated from Flexera and then provided in package feed module. And the second one is try to avoid repackaging as much as possible. Some of our users don't prefer to do repackaging and use the original vendor provided package as is. And when they do so, we want to ensure that there is not a lot of overhead on the trying to find out the silent command line switches, and it reduces the overhead on the repackaging problems as well. And obviously automation and integration. Automation has been our mantra for a really long time. And we're not just a database, but it's deeply integrated into the packaging workflow. You can actually decide what to do when a new version comes in. You can actually decide the series of steps when a new package comes in. I'd want to import in the catalog. I'd want to run a specified curated set of app compatibility tests and then publish them to an endpoint management system. So all of that workflow can actually be integrated into the packages that come in via package feed module. And not just these, there's a lot of other miscellaneous functionality that we also offer, via package build module. The first one we talked about, which is, a lab tested for downloads and integrity. The packages are available for you like a clear download. You don't have to find the download URL where it is available at the source. You don't have to go through the painful process of approving, going to your IT and trying to download them for you. And then we also have digital signature validation. The applications coming in from PFM will help you give insights on whether a particular application is digitally signed or not. This gives you enough trust to say whether I can trust this application or not. And ability to reuse customized silent switches for future releases. So what happens more often is that I have a package, but then I also want to ensure that I am tweaking the install command line. Let's say arbitrarily speaking, I want to do a suppress reboot on a given MSA package. But then every time a new version comes in, I don't want to redo this process. I want to ensure that the silent command line switches are being reused for future releases. And also email alerts for new versions. We want you to stay on top of new versions coming in. Firefox 100 is out, and Firefox 101 is out. Okay, we publish an email alert to you saying that, hey, you got an application in the catalog, and then there's a newer version available for the application available in the catalog. So that helps you a trigger to say, let me go ahead and test this and ensure that my endpoints are actually up to date with the latest versions available. And we also are introducing the concept of release dates to help packages take decisions. Obviously, when you're trying to download packages, we want to ensure that you're not installing something that is pretty old. So we are introducing the or exposing the release date as an attribute for a given package coming in from package feed module, and also a report where you can actually see how many of these packages are out of date and how many of them do not have a release date at all. So for all non-package feed module applications, you would not probably see a release date, but there is also a provision to, in case you want to manually go ahead and apply a release date, you could do that, like choosing a calendar widget there. But then for all applications coming in from our package feed module coming in from Flexera, you would be able to see the release dates and understand how old the application actually is. And last but not the least, okay, we have a way to auto-generate transforms for commonly used scenarios, and the fact that they can actually be reused for future versions as well. And I'd like to conclude with we have been slowly but steadily growing to around 12,000 plus verified packages as on date, and the number just keeps growing. And these are all truly verified battle tested packages for their install command line switches, for the detection criteria, which file has to be detected for which package, and all of that installation metadata, including a fancy item like a application icon as well, so that you recognize the application in the catalog. Now, having said all of that, okay, we also understand the need that if there is a critical application missing in our feed, from the package feed, there is also a need to say, hey, Flexera team, you are missing an application in your feed. Will it be possible for you to go ahead and add this? So in order to do this, generally, you would have to raise a support case. So we try to eliminate that friction by introducing a small form within the application itself. So you can navigate to your support tab and then click on requests, my requests, and then just go and create a new package request. And the when you submit the form, we will get an automated notification in terms of a support case, and the support engineer would be able to change the statuses, and the statuses you can actually review them within AdminStudio itself, without leaving the application or having to manage the case, outside of AdminStudio. So, and then once it is approved or rejected, okay, you would be able to see the status within AdminStudio. The cases where a package can be approved would be when the package is we are able to download the package from public internet. It is not behind a firewall, or it has needs a separate subscription to actually access the package. So outside of those cases, we will be able to download those packages and make them available via package feed. So with that, I would like to pass over to Mike, and we also wanted to show a quick demo of how this works, an end-to-end scenario of how you accelerate your processes with package feed module.
Yep, great, thanks, Venkat. Share my screen. How's that look from your side, Venkat?
It looks good. I can see your screen, Mike.
Okay, perfect. All right. So if you're familiar with AdminStudio, you used it in the past, this may look familiar, at least to start. So this is the application manager. This is the front end for what's called the application catalog. It's a database, and basically think of it as your kind of workspace for preparing applications with AdminStudio. So whether you're needing to if it's an MSI package that you're working with and you want to create a transform file for it, you can launch the install shield editor from here. If you want to wrap a package into PowerShell app deploy toolkit, we support that. If you want to wrap it with our own YScript wrapper, you could do that too. Configure command line options and eventually hand off to a deployment system like Microsoft Configuration Manager, otherwise known as SCCM or Mecum. We support Intune, Workspace ONE, some other distribution systems. So this is kind of your workspace. And the package feed becomes another kind of entry point to the application catalog. So of course, you can still continue to import packages from an internal file share that you have. So if you're likely downloading packages from vendors today, if you have any internally developed applications, those can continue to be imported in the catalog. But there you get some additional capabilities, as Venkat mentioned, with the package feed. So to import it, I could choose import, or we have a package feed button right here. So I'm going to go ahead and show that. I'm going to walk through just a one-off, kind of selecting a package and downloading it, because I want to show you all the different steps. It's not just downloading the package. Like Venkat said, we're also supplying you things like the silent install and uninstall command line options, detection method information, things that you'd usually have to research, the ability to remember customizations on the command line options, as well as transform creation. So there's a lot going on. So I want to walk through that. So I'm going to choose everyone's favorite browser, or at least the most popular browser out there today. So we've got the different iterations of Chrome available from Google, and probably the most common one is I'll choose Chrome for Business 64-bit. Some folks ask, do you have other packages aside from Windows? We do actually have some Mac applications. So for certain applications like Chrome, vendor releases a version, we do have some Mac applications too. But I'm going to choose Chrome for Business 64-bit. You can see it's an MSI. It'll present some information, and right from AdminStudio, I can choose download, and I don't have to go to a different website. We'll download it directly. So Flexera is maintaining a repository. Like Venkat said, it's over 12,000 applications. It's grown quite a bit. I think when we first started, it was about 3,000 or 4,000. So it's grown up quite a bit. We're downloading directly from the vendor. We run it through some testing, like we run it through VirusTotal, make sure there's no malware with it. We do a test install and uninstall, and if it passes all that, then it becomes available to all the package feed module subscribers. So we've downloaded it. So I've got the package. So now next part is some customization, and I can do that on the command line. And I think Venkat was mentioned earlier, right? If I want to suppress a reboot or updating or something, right? Some certain applications may have properties that can be set above and beyond and switches for their specific package. So a no Google updating equals 1 is definitely not something found in all packages, but at least in this Google one it is. And we know it's a common one that folks will use. So you can add it here, install and uninstall. If this was an executable, we'd have silent command line switches for that too. And one of the things we can do to make it easy is if you we give you these to start off with, give you the most common silent command line options that you'd use. But if you want to make any further changes, like oh, I know about an additional property that I want to add here, go ahead and you can add it here. And then when it comes to the next version of Google Chrome or whatever you're preparing, we can remember those customizations each and every time. So if you want to customize these command line switches here, you could do that, and we'll remember that next time. The other thing we can remember and redo every time for you is you can see create a transform file. So this is an MSI package. So of course I can create a transform file for it, and a transform file for those that may not be familiar, but probably everyone else is on this call. But so it's a way to customize an MSI without editing the MSI itself. So it overlays on top of it. And again, you typically use something like our install shield editor to make a transform file, configure the different properties, and then you'd have to do that for each and every version of Google Chrome that comes out. And something like Google Chrome that seems to come out every 2 or 3 weeks, it's a repetitive process. Maybe not take you too long. You're kind of a pro, you know all the options you can do, but it still takes 15 minutes, something like that, to prepare it. So the idea with this is, one, we've figured out all the most common properties that you would typically want to customize for a package. These are the ones for Google Chrome. Every package is different, so every package, every application that we have in our package feed will have more or less options, depends on what that installer supports. But Google Chrome's a good option or a good example that there are a lot of them out there. I even provide you some documentation that'll link you directly to Google about what all these different options are if you're not sure. But the idea is enable or disable these different options. Next screen is, it's a web browser, so I can set a default homepage. Let's go to everyone's favorite, AdminStudio.com, or of course your enterprise's website, your intranet or your main website. Select that, some other distribution properties where I want to do import from previous iterations. So I can set all this here, and just some release notes of what we've done. But what we'll do is, for this version of Google Chrome that I just downloaded, those wizards AdminStudio will create the transform file for you with those customizations that I set up in the import wizard here. So we'll automatically create the transform file with those customizations applied, and then when it comes to the next version, unless you want to make changes, you can kind of reuse those customizations each and every time. So once you do it the first time, in essence, you don't have to go back and redo it. It'll remember those settings, and it'll generate a new transform file because you have to do a new transform for every new version, even if it's the same application. But it'll create the transform file for you automatically with those same customizations, so you don't have to go back and modify it and change it each and every time. So it's importing the MSI package, it's creating the transform file, it'll associate with it in a little bit, and that way now I have a fully configured version of Google Chrome with those customizations applied. And then once this is done, then I can go ahead and work on other packages. And that's the one-off, so that's great. I can search for application installations one-off and download those, and that's helpful. But then, of course, well, what happens, if I've got a lot of applications I want to go after? I don't want to have to go through and search for each new application each and every time. So we've added some additional automation that we have in what we call the backlog. And of course, this is taking a while because it is a demonstration. So there you go. Give it a few extra seconds.
Maybe in the meanwhile, we can take a question, Mike. I think there's a question from, Sean Parker.
Sure.
We utilized local VMs in the past to assist repackaging gaps via the PFM, but we now need to move to Azure. So can we use Azure VMs to perform the repackaging tasks in the same way? I think we might have some good news for you. I think I'll probably talk about some of the features that we're working on. We are trying to move or not move, but also provision AdminStudio as a pre-configured VM in the Azure Marketplace. Now, once the application is available in Azure, we hope that you'll be able to go ahead and use another Azure VM for your repackaging needs. So that's one way of doing it. And next year we also want to get into how you can build your own Azure DevOps pipelines for your repackaging needs. So that's on the radar as well, and hopefully that should cover the repackaging needs from any package that has a silent command line switch, okay, without having to go ahead and configure the VM every single time. And that way you can also take the advantage of the Azure hosted agents, where you'll just be able to pass something, configure a pipeline, and then say, hey, install this particular application in an agent, capture the process, and then send me back the repackaged output. So these are two items that we are currently working on, Sean, on from a Azure point of view. So one is AdminStudio would be available in the marketplace pretty soon, and and also next year we're going to explore the option of having the repackaging process as an a capability that can be integrated into the Azure DevOps pipelines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that just builds off of what we have today, which is the automated application converter that comes with AdminStudio can talk with Azure and use virtual machines there. But to Venkat's point, we take that a few steps further and make it so it's easier to add to an Azure tenant through the marketplace, and the repackaging with that pipeline. Cool. All right, so I got Google Chrome ready to go. It downloaded, it's got a transform added. I click over real quick just to show you that it's got the silent command line options there, including the transform file is applied there. So I could do a whole host of things. So again, that's kind of a quick demo of a one-off, but no, if I go over to the backlog is where I give AdminStudio a list of applications, and it checks it. What do I have locally in my application catalog right now? And then compares that to what does Flexera offer in its package feed right now. Because I want to see that if I already have a version of the package, then we're already good. But if it's not, if it's an older version or I don't have the package at all, then AdminStudio can download it. But also you can layer additional actions on top of it too. So we can, I won't go through everything, but just to show you, you can create custom workflows and tell AdminStudio for a given package, do you just want it to download with the silent command line options and the detection methods and the automatically create the transform file and the switches, or do you want to run the different tests that we offer, Windows compatibility, app virtualization suitability, Java dependency testing, wrap it automatically into things like PowerShell, automatically convert it. So if you're going to Intune and up to and including automatically publish it into a deployment system. So if I have a deployment system, I don't think in this environment I do, but I could select Config Manager or Intune or something like that and take it really all the way. AdminStudio can do all those things for you. And then you can label which options you do and don't want for a given package. So you have complete control over how much automation do you want to apply for package A versus package B. Okay, I think with that, we'll kick it back over. And we start from where we were. Cool. Back to you, Venkat.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Mike. And since this is the last I know experts roundtable for the year, we also wanted to showcase some of the key highlights that we have worked on this year. So I'll probably start with a recap of what we have done so far. We have done 2 releases this year at AdminStudio 2025 R1 and R2, and we're getting up for yet another exciting release, hopefully in December. So I also want to take this opportunity to talk about what we have done and where we have been investing our energy this year, and also give you an overview of what is going to come in December this year. So, and a quick recap of what we've delivered in 2025 R1. Okay, is some of the adopt a modern package signing for MSIX packages using HSM based signing, because the conventional signing practices have gone through a significant overhaul, and there was a dire need to change the signing technology to more HSM based signing. I'm going to go through the first column, and then we talked about the my request tab for package tracking. So this is essentially takes away the friction of you having to raise a support case for any applications that you think are missing in the package feed. So you have this provision now within AdminStudio to see that there's a new application request that you have raised, and you can also track the progress on when our support team marks them as approved or rejected. And the next one is, Mac package publishing to Workspace ONE. We now have the provision to go ahead and publish Mac applications of either PKG format or a DMG format to Workspace ONE, and improved configuration manager import views. So we struggled with this a little bit with the view, because the original intention was to support or replicate the exact experience as configuration manager, but that proved to be too problematic with respect to load times. So we have really improved the performance with respect to configuration manager import view to help ease the process of importing applications to configuration manager. And a lot of customers are in the transition phase between configuration manager to Intune, and this really eliminated the friction for those users who wanted to use our migration wizard to migrate their applications from configuration manager to Intune. And towards the right, okay, we talk about configuration manager deployment support. If you recall, so I know last year we have started this journey towards not just publishing applications to endpoint management systems, but we have taken the next step towards deploying the applications to endpoints as well. While there might be questions on whether you would be the right person to actually deploy the packages to an endpoint, what we have received as major feedback is that as a packaging engineer, I would like to test what I have done at least in a given set of endpoints, so that I know that this application is ready for prime time and it can actually now be deployed to all devices or all users. So we started this journey last year with Intune, and the Intune support that we have, you'll be able to not just publish an application to Intune, but also deploy to a given set of endpoints via what Intune calls them as assignment groups. So the same functionality, the same analogy has now been applied to Configuration Manager as well. We'll now be able to deploy applications to Configuration Manager endpoints too. And the scheduling automation. So we have made some subtle improvements to the scheduled automation. I think we were missing a set of frequency, either it is weekly or monthly, and we went ahead and added those functionality, and a much better intuitive way of understanding how the scheduling can actually be done and what the previous schedule was. And one more improvement was the support for Azure government, cloud support in AAC. The URLs were different. The API calls were slightly different. So we had to ensure that when you are using an Azure government cloud, in that cases for AAC, we were able to support the configuration for browsing the VMs in AAC. And last one is automation support. We have improved automation support for PowerShell commandlets and REST APIs for MSIX signing as well. Moving on to R2, we have released another release this year, and the first one would be to support PowerShell app deploy kit 4.x. And while we talk about it, our team is already investigating on the latest version as well, right? So users can now leverage all the new functionality available in PowerShell app deploy kit 4.x. And we always try to be on the latest and greatest with respect to install shield, because one of the popular tools that is being used in the AdminStudio suite is install shield. And as soon as the install shield 2025 R1 is released, we have upgraded the integration to include the latest version of install shield. And moving on to adding more app model data for our packages. So we now have the flexibility to add scope tags for Intune. So we now will be able to users will now be able to attach or detach scope tags right from within AdminStudio without having to log into the Intune portal. Okay, I see a shout out from Sagar. Thank you. Thanks, Sagar. And then we also have, the next one will be configuration manager to Intune migration and support for multiple deployment types. So we had this, we introduced this wizard of, we talked about, how customers are on this journey of, moving away from configuration manager to Intune. And we created a wizard that will help us. This is ease of, moving these packages from configuration manager to Intune. At the same time, having the packages imported into AdminStudio for easier access and staying on top of new applications. Now that we have moved to Intune, there was some feedback around, how can I move multiple deployment types at the same time. So, in the R2 release, we went ahead and ensured that you're able to now add multiple deployment types as a part of a single migration experience. And then we made some subtle improvements to our MSIX editor as well. Some package-specific issues were found out, and we improved handling of PowerShell file extensions as well. And a significant addition to R2 was with respect to support for winget packages. So we have screened the winget repository for applications that can actually be used and consumed as a part of a package feed module. And these applications are tested for the basic test of security. At the same time, also tested for availability of silent command line switches, and wherever they're not available, apparently there is a possibility that winget will allow you to create a package that doesn't include a primary file path. So we went ahead and included some automations internally to figure out what the detection conditions for some of these winget packages, and included them in our package feed module dataset. And one more item is more of an internal item. So it is a migration of an internal technology for a seamless integration with Intune. And another item is a security update of the UI control that we were using. So we wanted to ensure that the application is doesn't have any security issues, and upgrade certain component upgrades in the 2025 R2 release. All right. So with that, let me also give an overview of what we are currently working on, as a part of 2025 R3. As we talked about, this is a Q4 release, and if all goes well, we'll be able to do a December launch. The first one is supporting multiple distributions in the publish step. This has been apparently been a friction point from our users, where I can just publish I can publish my applications to just one distribution system. Again, we hear a lot of feedback from people who are maintaining both configuration manager and Intune because they're in the process of migration, or configuration manager is currently monitoring only some set of endpoints, and Intune is doing only some set of endpoints. So what we're currently doing is we have included the support for multiple distribution steps in the publish step, where you can select any number of distribution steps. I can't imagine why you would have workspace one and Intune in the same place, but you could still do that. So we enhance the functionality in the publish step and in the automation workflows to ensure that you'll be able to publish to both configuration manager and Intune. And the next one is, in addition to one more feature I'm going to talk about, it would be our first, foray into AI, using our leveraging of AI for AdminStudio. So what we're currently working on is a way to provide you with application insights within AdminStudio without you having to go somewhere else. So what we are currently introducing is an AI-powered app insights functionality, where you'll be able to access application metadata, like what is the application really about, and where can I download the application from, where can I find like a home page of the application. And in addition to that, you would also be able to access AI generated install and uninstall command lines, for those applications that are not available in our catalog, or based on a technology that is complemented both with which technology is used to build this application or bundle or package this application along with our AI models to figure out, hey, this is probably created with this, or this application seems to be the install command line of this application is this particular item because I have scouted for the right command line from its documentation pages. So all in all, users will now have access to what the application is about, where can I access the application from, and what are the install and uninstall command line switches are. And we want to continue this journey. This is just the first increment of App Insights, providing for a given application AdminStudio. We'll continue this journey with more insights coming in 2026 on how we can aggregate the results of app compare tests, for example, okay, and then show them in a binary way, like this is a red package, this is a green package, or this is an amber package which requires further review. And we'd also want to complement with some of security insights as well, some of the insights coming in from how old a package is. So all of that will be continuing to add as a part of the application insights in AdminStudio in increments following in 2026. And the next item, hosting AdminStudio in Azure Marketplace. So we will now be having AdminStudio available in the marketplace as an offering, and I presume this would be really be useful for our MSP customers or anybody who wants to just use AdminStudio in Azure. It's an easier way of provisioning and having and consuming AdminStudio in Azure VMs. And if you are an MSP user, who cater to your customers, it will be easy for you to maintain, isolated instances of AdminStudio for, different customers as well. So that will also be available as a part of our in the same timeline as 2025 R3. And towards the right, we have the supporting uninstallation assignments for Intune Win32. If you recall the previous slide I talked about, how we forayed into the deployment side of it. While the journey last year we started with Intune deployments, we now have complemented that with uninstallation as well. So from AdminStudio, what you could do is you can perform the testing, you can import a package, perform all kinds of testing, add transforms, and then say that, hey, this package is ready for prime time, let me actually test it. And once you test it, you can also go ahead now and close the loop with saying, hey, now that it's all working fine, I can go ahead and uninstall the application from my test machine as well. So all of that you can do from within AdminStudio without having to go into Intune portal. And the next item is integrating CLS licensing for AdminStudio. So CLS stands for Cloud License Server, and this is a new licensing model that we'll have, which works pretty similar to our floating license or concurrent licensing, where the way the concurrent licensing works today is that you would have to stand up your own license server, and then you would have to maintain a separate instance for that, and there is in 2025, obviously can imagine the kind of maintenance of a separate VM having to just distribute licenses for your endpoints where AdminStudio is installed. So the CLS, or the Cloud License Server, takes away this friction where we would be responsible for hosting the license server for you, and all you need to do is just install AdminStudio on a provisioned VM and then just connect to a license server that we have provisioned. You don't have to maintain any VMs explicitly for installing and configuring and managing the license server. Whenever there is a new version of AdminStudio, we would take care of ensuring that the entitlement is fulfilled and your clients or your endpoints can automatically access AdminStudio with an activated copy, right? And this would particularly be more useful if you are running AdminStudio in an Azure environment, because you don't want to obviously incur additional costs just for distributing licenses. At the same time, where the MAC addresses of the cloud VMs keep changing according to your security policies, node lock licensing doesn't provide a very good licensing model. So this comes in really handy where you just have to enter a CLS instance ID. It is just nothing but a license server ID, and then you would be able to use AdminStudio right from get-go. And last one is the support for Server 2022 and Server 2025 rules for testing application compatibility in right within AdminStudio. And so we have a couple more items, which is we talked about the release dates in a little in the previous slides. So package feed module packages will now be able to show the release dates, and we'll also be able to show whenever there's a new version available right within the catalog. And we'll also be able to show a report where you can see how old that package is as well. So we encourage you to go ahead and select that report, because the reports are in a different section. Please go ahead and you can select a particular report and then see the items which are out of date. And the next one towards the right is enhancing the Intune assignment functionality for improved performance. So there's some performance improvements done on the Intune assignments. The existing experience of having to select an assignment group, okay, is, I would say, is a little less intuitive and also performance intensive, because we were fetching all the assignments at one go, and we have improved this performance by having pagination in the grid. And last but not the least, okay, we are proud to announce what we're calling as an AI-powered continuous packaging with PowerShell. So what we really wanted to do here is that when for those customers who are using PowerShell app deploy kit for wrapping their packages, so we assume that this would really come in handy, where you start off of a base template of PowerShell, and then you customize, let's say for example, Chrome 100 to your liking. So you'd want to include some pre-install scripts, you'd want to include some actual installation logic, and then post install you'd probably want to just say arbitrarily remove some shortcuts or make some registry entry, registry tweaks, or go to a particular path in the registry and then say, hey, don't show me the ULR dialog and whatnot, right? So all of that power is provided by PowerShell app deploy kit, and we're really happy that this technology exists. But at the same time, it also presents certain challenges, at the same time opportunities for us to optimize how you can leverage the exact same script, okay, for a future version of the product. Now, once you have packaged Firefox 100, and then Firefox 101 comes in, or Chrome 100 or Chrome 101 comes in, you would not want to start off the base template once again, right? So you'd want to say, hey, I have a PowerShell wrapper that's already been written for Firefox 100. I'd like to retain the exact logic as is, from 100 to 101, because I know that I'm not making any changes for this particular package. But I want to ensure that the package, the relevant or the contextual paths where the version references are there are automatically changed, so that my PowerShell script works exactly the same way from the previous version, without me having to start from the base template, or without me having to go through a friction of copy pasting the scripts and openly modifying them with a human coming into play. So this is one functionality that we'd want to use with an intelligent wrapper reuse, where the system understands what the current logic is and reuses the logic for the next version as well. So we are leveraging AI for this, and we're calling this AI powered PowerShell wrapping, where you'll be able to accelerate your productivity, because you don't have to manually edit these files. At the same time, also ensure automatically you are actually getting consistency enforcement, because the script exactly remains the same, right? So this will also be available in our R3 release, which is going to come in December. And we'd like to show off, we built this, and I request Mike to see, give a preview of how it looks, and what you can expect from this AI powered PowerShell wrapping.
Yep.
Back to you, Mike.
Thank you. Share my screen again. All right, you see my screen okay?
Yes, Mike.
All right, great. So I'm back into AdminStudio, and I've got a package open, a pzip. That's a compression utility, and I've got a couple different versions of it. So when it was the latest, I downloaded version 10.5, and because AdminStudio can check to see if there's new releases and download the latest and greatest, this isn't the current. There's actually a 10.7 now, but at the time there was a 10.61, so I downloaded that one. Just to show you, if I click on one of these packages, here's the app summary insights that we're providing that are based off of AI. So you can see here, reach out to AI, kind of see what this application is, gives you a summary of what that is, gives you some information about where you would go typically from the vendor, but we downloaded it directly using package feed module on the download page, and more information of it, and the install and uninstall command line options based off of what it has. So that's one part of it. But so it started as it is an exe. That's what the vendor has provided. The group that maintains pzip. So, and I've since wrapped each of them using AdminStudio into a PowerShell app deploy toolkit package. So just to show you what one of them looks like, if you're familiar with PowerShell app deploy toolkit, it looks very similar. But you've got some information up here. You've got some declaration of variables. And so what we do is, and how we do PowerShell app deploy toolkit, and what it's been up to this point, and what we're adding is, so we come out with AdminStudio comes with a version of the PowerShell app deploy toolkit right out of the box. You can modify that template, add your own customizations to it. You could also, if you're already using PowerShell app deploy toolkit and you want to use your existing template, you can do that. But there's some placeholder values that you would add if you want to bring your own to that script, and that's what AdminStudio is using to initially wrap each package. So we have some placeholder values for things like application vendor, the app name itself, the version, the architecture, the language, and so forth. So there's some placeholder values, and when we wrap the package, we do a search and replace those placeholder values with the actual values that we can read from the installer. And that worked. That certainly works, but then as Venkat has mentioned, you might do, more likely you're going to do some additional customization for a given package, and some applications may need one thing or another, may need things like you want to customize an extra registry key in the package, or you want to add a license key or a config file or something like that, and so you have to add information to that package that's above and beyond what's out of the template. And you can do that, but then if you want to do that again and again you have to do that each and every time there's a new version of that package. So the template the wrapping is faster because it uses the template, and it can create a wrapped package in a few seconds, but then you still have to go back and open it and then bring over those additional customizations that you did before. So like here, I've got a registry path that has and it has a specific version of this package. This is the 10.5 version. And then I have some other references to 10.5 in the comments, and some other, I'm checking for the location if that path in the registry exists or not, and have some logic. So I don't really want to redo that again for version 6.1 or 7 or whatever it is. So what Venkat has mentioned is there's an additional option when we wrap applications. You can say, do you want us to use our AI-powered insight to read the previous version of the package, see the additional customizations, and bring those over and modify them so they're relevant for the new version of the package. So as an example, I'll bring this up in Beyond Compare. On the left is the same package I just had, the same wrapper, but this one is the 6.1 that I also wrapped before, and you can see it calls out the differences. Now at first, app version, that's just search and replace, we already do that. But you can see when it comes down here, things like declaring additional variables, these weren't in my original template, but I want to make sure that they get brought over into the new version. So they do, and it's smart enough to know that, oh, well, this was for version 10.5, but this is for 10.61. So not only do I copy and paste this information from the left over to the right here, but I also modify it, and I know what to modify it to bring those version numbers over. So the idea is you can take the template, add your most common customizations that you're almost always doing with packages. You could add that to the template. But then when it comes to wrapping a given application and then doing additional customization above and beyond it with this AI-powered PowerShell wrapping, we can bring those additional customizations over to the next release of that package. So application A may have some different customizations than application B, but when there's going to version 1 to 2 to 3 and so forth, from A to A and B to B, those additional specific customizations for that application can be brought over as well. So again, it's trying to find what we're doing with AdminStudio and our automation is find all the little parts and pieces where you would typically have to go through and customize or do this specific thing. And it's not tricky, but it's repetitive, and it does take some time to go through and make sure everything's brought over. And we want to basically eliminate those different steps from having you have to do it. So in essence, you do it the first time, and then we can remember that and bring that over each and every time moving forward. So that's the idea with the AI-powered insights for wrapping. Cool. All right. So go back here. So yeah, so that's our, thank you, Venkat, for going through what we've released this year and what's coming soon for AdminStudio. And just want to do a quick shout out of our community. If you're not aware, community.flexera.com. It's a great place to go to get additional information and insights about all of our different Flexera solutions. There's a section for AdminStudio where we have links to things like the product documentation. So everything you need to know, the full, I think it's like 2,300 pages or something in the full AdminStudio help. You can always hit F1 at any point if you're not sure, but there's also that's on the web as well. So you can search through that. There's some knowledge base articles. There's a blog that Venkat and crew will update periodically. There's an active forums. So if you have questions as you go through and have questions about what's going on or you're seeing something, you can search through it. A lot of times, right, common issues, other folks have seen it too, so you can see what's been answered and you can ask your own questions. There's a learning center which has more additional videos about learning how to use AdminStudio. Also a link to our trusted partner Telex that does training for AdminStudio. So if you want some live instructor-led training for in a public class, or if you got enough folks you want to do a private class, that's available too. So you can check out those videos, helps you get AdminStudio set up and utilizing it for the first time. Like I said, an active forum. We also have all of our tech support and other teams monitoring the forums and answering questions that way too. So check out community if you haven't already. Some additional videos on AdminStudio. And if you guys, so this is the end of this roundtable, but we're always interested to see what topics you want to cover. So look at that, not the easiest link, but we'll leave it up for a little bit. But you can also search for it too. You can search for what would you like to hear in the AdminStudio packaging roundtable in our forum. But yeah, we're open to other suggestions. You can watch our past catalog roundtables, what we cover different topics. Like we had an expert, Tim Mangan from MSIX, talk about the current state of that. Talked about some other packaging advice. So check out those past ones. But yeah, we're interested in what additional topics you'd like to hear too. So I think we'll probably do some Q&A at this point. Why don't we leave that one up? But yeah, as we have additional questions we want to jump through.
Yeah, I don't see anything new here in the Q&A. I'm scouting for any questions here, but I don't think we missed any. But we'll probably give 30 seconds to see if there are any more questions, and then maybe wrap up.
Absolutely. So again, reminder, you go to the QA section, and if you do have any questions, you can post there. Of course, you can go to our forums and post there. You can follow up with your account manager if you have additional questions too. If you're interested in a custom demonstration of AdminStudio, once the R3 release is out there, we can schedule a demonstration and go through that with you directly. But,
requested this 2 weeks ago. blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
So we got a question about, does package feed module identify if the application should be installed per user or per computer? So that's always a fun challenge to have, especially in the enterprise.
So anyhow, I'll just add.
My first take is it certainly depends on the application, because some application installations are designed one way or the other. I don't think we have a definite call out whether, a given vendor installation package is one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have help make a decision of whether the application should be installed as per user or per computer. But let me investigate with our content team and then figure out if there's a property that we can actually extract and then present it as information. Thanks for the question, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a question about using service UI.exe. I know that's a utility that Microsoft's released. Is that an option that could be added to Intune interactive deployments? I know we don't have that. I also did, I don't know if anybody that knows the MMS, probably most of you do, the MMS trade shows that they have. And there was a session where the folks from the PowerShell App Deploy Toolkit team talked about that. And they actually, I think they've added something in the latest version of PowerShell App Deploy Toolkit. So service UI.exe is right. Intune delivers the application and runs under, a service account, so it can be installed. But sometimes you want to interact with it and make it user-based. And so Microsoft released service UI.exe. But the guys at the show talked about how technically there's some insecurities around it. And I believe they've actually come up with something in PowerShell App Deploy Toolkit that basically accomplishes the same thing without having to use service UI.exe. So probably I would recommend actually looking at. We do support the latest version of the PowerShell App Deploy Toolkit in AdminStudio, or again, you can bring your own over. But that's probably, I actually recommend utilizing that. So you could wrap that in PowerShell, leverage the commandlets that would make that available. And then you can wrap that into an Intune Win package, also in AdminStudio, and then publish that into Intune. Alternatively, you could bring in service UI.exe if you want to yourself, and probably through PowerShell or something, bring it in.
Yeah.
So let me take that. So do you have a query on how we can use the AI and best practices? I'm hoping the question is more around the AI functionality that AdminStudio provides, and we will definitely have a documentation or a one-pager where we're going to talk about how and what technologies in AI if we're leveraging, and so that if you have we understand the adoption of AI needs to be vetted by some teams. Some teams are just free to go ahead and use what they want, especially dev teams, but then the enterprise active teams generally they have to go through a vetting process. So what we are currently working on, thanks for this question, Shivraj, is that we are working on a document which will help you understand the weeds of how we are leveraging AI for the functionality that we expose to our customers. So we expect that document to be available to you along with the release, so that you can send them for an internal governance team and make an informed decision on whether you want to leverage it or not.
Yes, correct.
Yep.
Right, correct.
I've seen a few questions and we answered, but just let everyone know in general, as a reminder, you will get a link to this recording. So if you came halfway through, you had another meeting double booked and you missed part of it, or you want to rewatch this later, absolutely. We'll have a recording of this that you'll be able to do that.
All right, all good. We'll check with you later. Thanks for your help.
All right. I don't see anything else. Good questions, though. Appreciate it. So I think we'll conclude there. Again, if you do have any follow-up questions, check out our forums, post questions there. We're happy to answer them. You can also search for previous questions. Like I said, a lot of folks have had the most common things again. So go to our forums and check that out. But appreciate everyone joining today. We'll continue this next time. We'll probably have it in I imagine the first quarter, so the first 3 months of 2026. But If we don't talk to you before then, have a great holiday season and end of the year, and we'll talk to you again in 2026. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.